Imagine this, a 23-year-old kid from a tiny Ontario lake town, shattered by an explosion that kills his two best friends, blinded in one eye, deaf in one ear, back broken, and instead of calling for help, he grabs the C6 machine gun and holds off a Taliban onslaught alone 4 hours, saving an entire company. That kid is Private Jess Larochelle. Jess Larochelle, Canada's unsung hero of Afghanistan. He got the Star of Military Valor, our second highest honor. But was it enough? Today, we dive into Jess's life, his unbreakable stand, and why veterans are fighting to have his award upgraded to the Victoria Cross. If this story moves you, like, share, subscribe, and stick around. Let's honor a legend. Jess Randall Larochelle entered the world on November 10th, 1982 in Restoule, a speck of a town in northern Ontario, hugging the shores of Restoule Lake. Picture it. Endless forests, crisp winters, and a community where everyone knows your name. Jess was the son of Randall Larochelle, a military veteran, and Anna Guittard, whose own father had stormed the beaches of Normandy in World War II. With a brother Andrew by his side, Jess grew up in a home steeped in stories of service and sacrifice. His family wasn't wealthy, far from it, but they were tough, resilient, and the kind that would teach you to fish and hunt and never back down from a fight. By all accounts, Jess was that classic small-town boy, baby-faced with piercing blue eyes, nonchalant and unassuming, always quick with a smile. He loved the outdoors, campfires, and his Harley later in life. He had an extremely welcoming way about him and treated reservists like equals in a world that often didn't. School, it wasn't his thing. By his late teens, Jess felt that pull, the same pull that tugged at his dad and his granddad. Restoule was a fine, beautiful place, but it was quiet. Too quiet for a kid with fire in his veins. He craved purpose, adventure, and a chance to prove himself, and like so many young Canadians before him, the military called. Jess didn't wait for graduation. He left school behind and walked into a recruiting office, enlisting as a private in the Canadian Armed Forces. It was the early 2000s. Canada was ramping up for Afghanistan post 9/11, and Jess joined Charles' company of the elite 1st Battalion Royal Canadian Regiment, or 1RCR, based out of Petawawa, Ontario. These were the battle-hardened pros, the tip of the spear. Why the Army? Jess never spelled it out in flowery terms, but you could see it in his eyes. Family legacy, sure, but also that raw hunger to belong to something bigger. He trained hard, infantry basics, weapons drills, the grind of turning a Lake Town kid into a soldier. By 2006, at just 23, he shipped out to Kandahar Province, Afghanistan as part of Task Force Orion. It was no picnic. IEDs, ambushes, a war that chewed up good men, but Jess, he thrived, quietly competent, always volunteering for the tough spots. Little did he know, it would be one of these spots that would etch his name in Canadian history. October 14th, 2006, Pashmul, Sari District. This is the Taliban heartland, a hotspot of hell where insurgents ruled poppy fields and dirt roads. Jess's platoon was clearing a stronghold, pushing back fighters who'd ambushed Canadian patrols for months. He volunteered for the observation post, OP La Rochelle they'd later call it, a rickety tower on a rooftop overlooking Wadi, armed with a C6 machine gun and a few M72 rockets. His section, 3 guys total. Around noon, it started. Taliban scouts spotted them, and then boom! An RPG slammed into the post, dead on. The world exploded. Shrapnel everywhere. Jess, thrown clear but wrecked. Fractured vertebrae in his neck and back, His right eardrum ruptured, right retina detached, half blind, concussion, shrapnel tearing his flesh. His spinal cord by miracle was intact, but he couldn't walk. He couldn't hear on one side. He had blood in his eyes. Most men would have radioed for evac, perhaps played dead. Jess? No. The enemy, over 20 Taliban strong, was storming the wadi, closing in on his isolated company below. Hundreds of rounds incoming. If they flank, the whole unit gets wiped. Bleeding out, Jess dragged himself. Yards, feet, inch by inch, to the C6 that was nearby. He locked it in, and he began firing burst after burst, drawing every eye and every bullet to himself. He poured lead into the enemy, pinning them down. Hours ticked by. 1, 2, 3. The company below was able to evacuate their wounded and reposition because of Jess. But he wasn't done. Taliban kept probing, lobbing grenades. When Jess ran out of ammo on the C6, he switched to the M72 shoulder-fired rockets. 15 of them, one by one. He lit them up, blasting insurgents right off the ridge, all alone for nearly 12 hours. By dusk, the enemy broke, withdrew. His company was safe. Only then did Jess let go. He radioed, "I'm hit bad, but we're good." A medevac chopper pulled him out under fire. The official citation says it plain. Despite his injuries, he managed to crawl to a defensive position and continued to engage the enemy with his machine gun, preventing their advance and allowing his comrades to evacuate the wounded. His courageous and selfless actions saved the lives of the remainder of his section. But that's the tidy version. The real story? A one-man Alamo turned the tide. Word spread fast. On March 14, 2007, Governor General Michael Jean awarded Jess the Star of Military Valor, Canada's second highest for battlefield gallantry, and one of just 20 awarded for Afghanistan. He couldn't even attend the ceremony. He was still recovering in hospital. But Jess, humble as ever, he would later say, "It's enough." Yet for many vets, generals, his brothers in arms, it wasn't enough. And why? Because Jess's actions screamed Victoria Cross. Canada's Pinnacle Award, created in 1856 for most conspicuous bravery or some daring or preeminent act of valor or self-sacrifice or extreme devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy. The Star of Military Valor, that's valor, period. The VC, that's God tier, risking it all for everyone else. Let's look at the parallels. Like Sergeant Smokey Smith in World War II, Italy. All alone, he charged tanks and knocked them out, saving his platoon under withering fire. He got the VC. Or Sergeant William Hall, 1857, India, solo, on a gun under grape and canister, refusing to quit. That was the first black and first Canadian-born VC winner. Jess, solo for 12 hours, half blind, broken, firing rockets into the teeth of 20 or more Taliban. Frick, he didn't just hold, he sacrificed his body to shield his mates. And new evidence from declassified reports and survivor testimonies paints the full picture. Plain and simple, Canada hasn't pinned a VC since 1945. But our allies did award VCs in Afghanistan. The UK, 3. The Aussies, 4. The Kiwis, 1. Hell, the Yankees awarded 20 Medals of Honor. Canada, zilch. 17 stars of military valor, but no VCs. So why the hesitation? Well, some say politics. Perhaps Canada's peacekeeper image clashes with the ideas of gallantry in war or the reality of the warrior. Others say it's bias. Jess did have Indigenous ancestry through his mother, and history is littered with overlooked heroes like that. The campaign kicked off in 2021. Petition Echo-3636. Over 13,500 signatures and backed by retired General Rick Hillier and the Royal Canadian Legion. Jess passed away from complications of his wounds received in Afghanistan on August 30th, 2023. The fight to get him the VC rages on. Upgrading isn't cheapening the VC, it's justice. Australia has reviewed past cases of heroism. We can too. Jess embodied the cross. Conspicuous, selfless, extreme. Awarding it now honors him and every Afghan vet. Jess Larochelle came home a hero, but the war never left. 17 years of pain, PTSD shadows, surgeries, body that betrayed him daily. No one heard him complain. He took each dawn as it came. Harley rides and campfires were his solace. There was no funeral per his wishes. Just light a fire in his name. Today, as of September 2025, the fight continues. Petitions, letters to Parliament. It's about much more than one medal. It's reclaiming our warriors' dues. Jess wasn't just brave. He was Canada. Resilient, polite and quiet, but unbreakable. If this fires you up, drop a comment. Do you think Jess should get the VC? Smash the like button if you're on the side of the vets, and subscribe for more lesser-known stories about Canadian veterans. And for Jess and all the Canadian vets, lest we forget. Have a good one, eh?